Oh, hello. Here, let me turn off the air conditioner for this Labor Day weekend. I had to schedule Kerfuffle reading, Kerfuffle 1902 reading part 4. Let's see how far I get into it. It should be the ending. But we left off with over here, these guys. The East Side Kids with Robbie Robertson from Bob Dylan's band. He was Native and Jewish Hebrew, Six Nations, and that's the East Side Kids, and that's Boss Mayor Tweed of Tammany Hall. We're going on to this scene now. Native girl is Mayor Hiawatha's granddaughter. That's just. I don't know if I said this in the last year when I was doing this. Cayuga Chief Danny said to me right when he left being a chief, he gave it up and became a homeless man, and he's known as Chief. He said that Hiawatha is not a man. He is a representation of what the Den Mothers told them to do whatever he had to do to unite the tribes. They are the 5 nations, and then eventually the 6th one, which I'm not going to speak because I don't get my facts right all the time as an artist. I remember stuff emotionally. But we'll get to that one right now. This scene here, this one with, on this side is a native girl and me, Gerhard Glockenspielski fighting over a book on Plato, and there's a conquistador with Laura, and there's Catherine with a bag, and there's the native Hiawatha, he makes rivers, and there's Robbie Robertson, there's all these people here. But anyways, what I'm saying is that, let's read it. It was November and winter was getting colder, so as the year to go back into the tall ship. There were singing, crooning, laughs, drinks, sighs, swigs, and smokes, and most of the legends of the Goodwill Show were told on that boat. Laura and Catherine made the guests of honor. They felt like hosts on a royal court. Never had they ever experienced remotely the presence and the singers, musicians, suffragists, inventors, writers, politicians, adventurers, chief sailors. So be careful around those sailors. A sailor had approached Laura with a lusty libido. He was probably a stowaway from Lakeside Park. He approached her with the intent to get at whatever Laura's father told her never to give away to any man except her husband. He tried to woo her with their adventures in the Caribbean and explorations in the jungle, and heard of ladies' passion for chocolate, and told her he had had chocolate made from the pure cacao made from the red man of the jungle himself, and she could try some if he would invite him back to her room. Laura, though very nervous, remembered something her grandfather once remarked, and as best she could quoted him at that moment. Mon Dios, what was that? Oh, I am so sorry. It must have been all that chocolate I had for dessert. It gives me terrible gastritis. Sacre sanctum. The odor is as fecund as a muskrat. Madame, that was rude, improper, and unbecoming of a senorita of your stature. You must let out the whole enchilada. Please forgive me. I am so embarrassed. Are you sure you just had chocolate? Maybe you had a couple of burritos too. Fufu, Pepito de la Stinkerita. I did have a bowl of chili. I'm sorry. Please don't gossip about it. Madame, I am not only a Spaniard, but also a man. If I were to gossip, I would only say it to your face. Fui! The Spaniard reached over a nearby vase of roses, poured its water over his hands, and rinsed them, pulled the rose petals off in handfuls, and presented them to Laura. The sailor said, I am not going to tell you where to put these flowers. since I am too much of a hidalgo to abase myself in the presence of a woman. But if you ever want to learn about amore, you are going to have to learn to be more civilized. Spaniard made an abrupt about face and marched away. Laura was embarrassed, but she was just as glad the contradictory man went away. Laura went to the ladies' room so quickly just to throw the rose petals in the loo and walk out without even the door having a chance to shut. She thought this was what the man suggested. Catherine had her own drama at the celebration party. It involved the clockmaker, a little native girl, and a tipsy scholar who seemed to be a mutual friend of the two. The clockmaker and the little negro were squabbling over a book, and the scholar was caught in the middle of it. It's not fair. I want to study Plato. Why do the boys always get to study and the girls have to be stupid? But Duff gave it to me. You only want to read Plato because you want to study how to be gay like Platonic. I'm not so stupid, but no one will let me learn. Wah! I'm so sorry, don't cry. But Duff gave me the book. I don't know what to do. Duff? Oh, woe is me. Somebody stop crying. I think I feel sick. Catherine saw how the native girl was and ran to tell the Lord Mayor of North York, because he was a native too. The Lord Mayor had seen what was happening as well, and handed Catherine one of his medicine pouches along his wampum belt. Now, when you say a wampum belt is not worn around the waist. I know that. It's meant as a form of arbitration and a settlement, or a transaction. And sometimes it's an agreement between two tribes or between a white man. They don't wear them around their belts. It's an embellishment of something that is the word belt. I'm sorry I did that. Please forgive me. It's not a big deal, but I have to think about it. Wampum belt and told Catherine what to do. While they were still crying, confused, and drunk, Catherine ran over to the clockmaker. Mr. Glockenspielsky, the Lord Mayor wants me to give you this. Mr. Glockenspielsky released his grip on the book the native girl was now clinging protectively. He then opened the pouch from a lump of red clay, still moist. The Lord Mayor said it was Plato. He said if you have enough, you can even make a birdhouse out of it. He said the Indians that lived in the desert lived in big houses made from the same stuff. Really? It's such a nice color, too. Yes, I can see it. All natural birdhouse. I can even put the small branches and straw through like a real bird's nest. Thank you, young lady. Thank you, Lord Mayor, too. Sorry, little girl. You can keep the book on Plato. I am my own Plato now. Yabba dobby doo. And that's a comment on Adobe line of multimedia and drafting software. Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, Acrobat, After Effects, Premiere, they have a lot of line of stuff for multimedia. Flash they bought a long time ago. It's all on there. It's like I use Flash to make this. No, Adobe. I use Adobe products to make this clock. That's what I meant by that. It's what I know about watching something on a computer and what they mean in real life is that Adobe is the name of a clay that they built houses out of. In Anasazi and not Aztec, but maybe Navajo or something like that, Hopi. In the Grand Canyon, they made houses out of clay. What I can say about that is that when you see some product or any name or any logo or any movie or song, it's all flickering flames. It's like a candle. If you want to compare that to any belief that the native fire keeper is the priest of the religion, the water woman or the priestesses, that you're watching a flickering flame of adobe. It's just an illusion of adobe. It just makes the shape of a birdhouse. It's not a real birdhouse. It's not a real birdhouse. It's not a real birdhouse. It's not a cuckoo clock. That's what I thought. You know. I smoked a lot of weed today. And had wine. I had tobacco nor. I started drinking at 7. It's pretty good. Over me up. Scholar Duff is now passed out drunk on a chair, and all three are happy again. Wow, that's nice. And we were drunk because that's based on a true story. What happened was that I offended a native woman and said the word like squaw. And you're not supposed to say that word, but it had no etymological root compared to it as an English word. And it sounded like squaw. It was not what I said, but it didn't matter. So many times I have offended natives. Sometimes they've forgiven me and sometimes they haven't. Just simply, it's so sensitive to the topic of the residential schools and the whole assimilation, what they went on by the white, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and any other colony. English. All that shit, but let's keep going. The ship arrived in Shipman's Corner. The surprise of the citizens. The party did not end there. The ship's captain said it'd be okay to go to shores for a few hours. He had errands to run himself in the neighborhood. The pubs were packed in downtown St. Paul's Street, or as it was called, the old Indian Trail. For one afternoon, that town was a Neapolitan capital. The boat gratuitously stopped again at Lakeside Park for stowaways and got on board for the party for fell into the lake drunk and had to be rescued, but then that portion of the journey was not befitting of proper ladies anyways. Mr. Tesla and Mr. Twain, who had accompanied the Goodwill crew to Shipman's Corners, had told Miss Harriet had told Miss Harriet they enjoyed the acute charm of this backwater town and asked if there were any available lodgings for a few nights. Miss Harriet had a boarding room solely for troubled Negroes, but told two travelers they were old enough to accommodate themselves. Of this they did fine, although Mr. Tesla's taste for lodgings was much more expensive. Laura worried that because she had missed a few days of work at the whiskey pub, she might have lost her job, though Catherine had filled in for those days and brought lots of chocolate, black and white, for local inebriants to enjoy. Mr. Twain and Mr. Tesla stopped in a few nights when Laura was bartending and talked of adventures, legends, and faraway places that anyone else in the bar could have mistaken for tall tales, although both men talked a little bit about themselves too much. Okay, this is a really good one. I'm going to read this one good. We're over the serious stuff. So that's the story of how I did the dishes and folded the laundry. So what you're saying is doing the laundry is the meaning of life. I concur. Astute observation. Cleanliness is next to godliness. And when you say the last time you washed the dishes and did the laundry, Mr. Twain? I get around to it here and there, so as it may be. So you have partial interest in the meaning of life. I mean, I'm too busy doing life to be meaning it. Today's writers have substituted imagination for adventure, and they wander off to hardship after hardship, and eventually build a structure which has no relationship to reality. And I'm relating to you that if you do your laundry enough, you're liable to realize you're wasting your time. Are you wasting your moment, though? Some moments you wish last forever, like fresh laundry. If I had a moment for every minute of the day, I'd never run out of time. Does a moment have to be longer than a minute for you never to run out of time? Maybe your moments doing laundry are too short. Adequate. I try to wear interesting clothes. They'd be less interesting if they were robust in aroma. Your clothes would have to be 2 points of interest. For the first one is when you're looking for the dirty clothes to do the laundry and when they are clean. And there is the work of the middle point of uninterest. If the joy of clean laundry is strong enough, it will override the pain of doing laundry. The same also goes for doing dishes, brushing teeth, cooking, bathing. The ape, primeval ancestor of man, according to Darwin, has no need for these things. Neither does the medieval peasant nor the pet. Wasted trifles to some. Mr. Twain, are we to believe the ape has some advantage to pick fleas out of the back hair of a fellow ape over man's modern laundry? Appalling. Modern man strives to become free from pestilence and decay. Laundry is a survival instinct. What if one has not lost the will to live, yet they do not die? One were accustomed to that decay. One would arrive accustomed to that decay. Dogs are flea's best friend. Anonymous. It would be a rude burden to be the receiver of fleas from an uncultured primitive. You can say that again. Dogs are flea's best friend. Anonymous. No, I meant for him to, never mind. Catherine, you want another drink? Yeah, sure. Maybe a marmalade schnapps. The inventor and the writer eventually decided to stay an entire week, though there was more reason for their date of departure. Miss Harriet was leaving, too. Miss Harriet told Laura and Catherine the day they returned that she had to go back to the United States, her homeland, and that although she cared for all her friends and family back in Shipman's Corner, she cared about her family in her homeland, too. And brothers and sisters, let me tell you, that was a big family. Miss Harriet said the biggest thing oppressing the Negro up in the north was the cold. And the warmer the land, the more the man took the whip from the north wind and put in his own hand. Miss Harriet never intended to stay in Shipman's Corner very, very long. I had to fix that. I couldn't read it. Corner very long. She only said she had important business to do. To Miss Harriet, opening a chocolate shop in Earl Lodge was important business. Catherine was working there since it opened, and Miss Harriet was hoping she was going to run the store when she went away, though Catherine was more interested in helping and giving orders. When Miss Harriet asked Laura to run her store for her, Laura hesitated and said she didn't know if she could do it. Woman, you have been to the wilderness and found the promised land. And now that you're worried about running a candy store, child, that's what the promised land's for. Laura did what Missy Harriet hoped for and took the job. Catherine made it easier for Laura at first, and Catherine was really running the store. She just didn't want her position. She didn't want to give the orders. She just wanted to help. Laura even kept her job at the whiskey pub for a while and learned about a few tricks about whiskey and made the chocolate better. So it's time for Mr. Twain, Mr. Tesla, Miss Harriet to bid their adieus. The ladies enjoyed the stay of their elder scholars in their town, and both girls learned much about literature and science in as much as they dreamed of magic and lore. Miss Harriet reminded Laura that she never missed an appointment because of that cuckoo clock that hung on the back of the wall of the chocolate shop, and Laura understood why. She said she would never smash it except if it started working, and then the only part that was working badly. Miss Harriet told her even though she would probably never live in Shipman's Corner again, she would still stop by from time to check in on her store. What I have to say about that, there is actually a store called Laura Secord Chocolates, a chocolates company in Niagara, founded in Niagara, called Laura Secord Chocolates. And the whole thing with the chocolates is for penance for any blasphemy against the Holy Spirit or anything I thought I was guilty about. Any sins. It's like I was doing coprophagia. Coprophagia with a C and a PH. I'm not explaining that because there's none of that business here. That's my penance. It says fine in the Bible. I don't know. I thought it was fine. What goes into a man's mouth doesn't. Defile him is what comes out of a man's mouth that defiles him. It's meant for siege of conscience for me. But yeah, they have Laura Secord chocolates. I don't have to eat that shit anymore. I don't have to eat shit. I can have chocolates. It's fine. No one's gonna persecute me. I gotta eat shit. So it's time for, yeah, I read all that. So they all got on the ship again, this time for a much more modern one. Sailed south once again through the locks, around the bends, up the escarpment. There was still a lot of wilderness up there, and the crew had seen a herd of deer running through the meadow in the snow. Laura remembered the Indian lady in the dale when she walked through the wilderness and wondered if there were more women out there like that, or if anyone heard of deer riders were ever together. If a herd of deer riders were together, if a herd of deer was a family, the native family could ride them in turn. Laura wondered if she could tell Catherine what she saw, or if Catherine saw something equally as wonderful. Maybe they would tell each other at the same time. Laura was sure if she told Mr. Tesla or Mr. Twain the story, they would tell one twice as fantastic and it would spoil the magic. The group arrived in Port Colborne and left the ship. Missy Harriet had 3 large bags she carried and had the strength to lift them from both will and muscle. Mr. Tesla had 1 briefcase and Mr. Twain had only a satchel with notebooks. The men went out on the dock and put Miss Harriet's things on the raft. Catherine, you're going on a raft? No, Miss Harriet, you should go on a boat. It's winter. Child, it's only a buffalo. I've been further in colder weather and I have 2 loyal men to take care of me. At your service, madame. Sailing by raft is the best way to get your feet wet and keep an eye on the vanishing point. What's a vanishing point? It's where the railroad goes, children. And don't be scared about it. You're still going to get to where you was planning to go. They all gave their final farewells and hugs and kisses and handshakes, except for Mr. Tesla, who was a hypochondriac, and said everything they could possibly say to someone you thought you would never see again, and then rode slowly along the icy shore and past the point of curving in the lake. Then they were gone. Just before they disappeared, Laura could have sworn she saw a bird land on Mr. Tesla's head, like a statue in a park. Catherine couldn't believe Miss Harriet wanted to go on a raft in the lake in the middle of November when there was snow on the ground, all the way to Buffalo. Laura remembered the time when she had to go through the wilderness. Maybe she thought it was the safest way to go. Catherine thought for a second. Oh, okay, I understand. Hey, Laura, did you want to walk home? Oh, right at the last page, too, and I got caught. That's funny. What? You know how far that is? I went to Toronto and back the last week. Oh yeah, you did, man. That seemed like such a long time ago. So at 9 in the morning, you probably make it to Welland by sundown. My aunt lives there. We can stay at her house. Okay, let's go. So they grabbed some provisions and saw at the shop more off. They made it to Welland okay. They made it Shipman's Corner okay. And there was no worry of highwaymen. This wasn't the War of 1812. They walked along the canal so they could always signal a boat for help. This story was about the adventure around two great lakes and two great canals, though there is a third great lake and a third great canal, and yet more. Trent Severn Waterway was built after War of 1812. It has a lot of locks in it, perhaps 200. I have heard it is a very beautiful waterway in the Georgian Bay to Lake Ontario. The tavern Laura didn't quite know was Runchy's Tavern, for those who following the story. Catherine and Laura made it to the front door of the Victorian home just after dark. We made it! Hooray! Did you want to listen to vinyl tonight on Victrola? Only if we don't listen to Newsbeat? Sure. The Doily Report is better than Newsbeat. Yeah, the Doily Report is awesome. You know it. They both laughed. Catherine remembered something. Oh yeah, Laura, I almost forgot. I got something for you. What is it? Catherine reached into her pocket, pulled a little sugar cube wrapped in the paper. Oh yeah, the sugar cubes. Catherine unwrapped the little paper, broken in half. They each put a piece in their mouths, and each patted themselves on the head like little ponies. They both thought it was funny. And there's a happy ending, indicating that I am not the hero, I am the penitent sinner. And Susan Catherine and Laura are the heroes. Laura Secord or whatever. My friends from my 20s. And I put the end with the sugar cubes. That's Bjork's band. It's a winter wonderland. We didn't have winter in St. Catharines anymore. It's like Niagara. It's like a winter fest. It's like 1 week of a storm. It sucks. I hate the summer. I never liked it. And when I was living in the summer in Niagara, it was all the heat wasn't that bad. You could pick cherries, plums, peaches, grapes, cherries, strawberries on the farm, and the heat wasn't that bad. I can't work in this heat. I don't know how anyone can. It's crazy. I can't wait till the ice age comes again. I'm sure Bjork will like that, but she can probably flee to safer regions after the apocalypse is over. But this is my confession. If it comes true, it comes true. If it doesn't, then I wasn't guilty of anything. But there's other stuff in here too. You can just see this. I'm just gonna give you a sneak preview. It's gonna be a couple months. There's the clock. But I'll be playing some Bjork chart toppers for that one, so she can own it. I don't care who gets the copyright, except if it's someone who doesn't hurt me in a yucky way. Alright, thank you. Bye.